Alright guys, today I'll be reviewing Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This is one of my favorite amusement parks I've ever been to. It's got great theming, great food, great atmosphere. It's just such a good park. Plus, of course, Lightning Rod, and we'll get into the ride lineup later. But first, let's start with some parking. Because, yeah, you're going to have to park again here, and it's a nightmare if you're not in preferred. Even if you're in preferred, it's still kind of annoying. It's definitely not as bad, but basically we got preferred, and it was a bit of a uphill climb at the end of the night, but it wasn't anything too treacherous. But oh my god, I could not imagine walking from the normal lot, especially far back in the normal lot, to the entrance. Because you can wait for a tram, but I don't like to wait for trams, so yeah, I'd be walking a while, so I'm definitely glad I got preferred here. So the entry experience is actually pretty nice. I entered through the preferred entrance, obviously, but it's basically the same as the normal entrance. You get that Dollywood sign out in front, and you can go right or left. I would actually recommend going left at entry, and I'll get into the strategy for the park later. But first, let's go over the ride lineup, because that's what we're all here for. I mean, maybe not, because Dollywood's actually good in other aspects but rides, but most of you watching are probably here for rides, so let's get into that. Of course, the star attraction of this park is Lightning Rod. If you can get on this, and that's a big if, this is definitely a park you want to go on like a clear, sunny day to optimize your chances of getting on this thing. Don't pull, oh yeah, let's go on a rainy day to lighten the crowds. No, you want to go to this park like in the best conditions possible to maximize your chance of getting on Lightning Rod. Because if you do, like this is probably a top 10 coaster of all time. It is phenomenal. You've got a short layout, but just absolutely amazing pacing. Probably the best pacing on any coaster I've ever ridden out of the 273 I have. An amazing setting, an amazing night ride. So definitely go here when it's open late so you can get a night ride on this like I did. It's got incredible ejector airtime, especially on the quad down. It's nearly flawless. It would be flawless if it had an extra couple elements, but yeah, this is the reason to go here. And what sucks is actually for time saver, you can only use this once. So that's kind of annoying, but what I did when I had time savers, I used it, and then when the ride would break down, like an hour or so after the ride broke down, I'd kind of camp at the entrance so I could be one of the first people on it when it opens. Now, sometimes that might not work, so we'll get into all that later, but let's keep going on with the rides. You got Thunderhead as second place here, in my opinion. That's a great GCI Woody. It's got good airtime, good pacing. Yeah, it's a great ride. Tennessee Tornado's the Aero Looper hit here. This is an Alan Schilke creation, so way, way better than any other Aero Looper you're ever going to ride. You got Wild Eagle, a B&M wing. It's a pretty standard wing. Big Bear Mountain's their newest coaster. This thing always has a long line, so you definitely want to get here early, but it's definitely worth the wait because this is definitely one of the best family coasters out there. It's got 3 great launches, a couple moments of weird sideways airtime, which is really nice to see on a family coaster, and overall is just, yeah, a great introductory coaster for little kids trying to get into bigger coasters. You got Dragonflyer in the same area, and it's not as good as Big Bear, but it's still fun. You don't really get any airtime or heavy positives or anything, but it's still fun. Mystery Mine's a ride I definitely wasn't very impressed with. It's got kind of good theming, but a lot of the effects were broken, so that's disappointing. And it was rough in a lot of spots, and the layout just didn't do much for me. Fire Chaser Express is another amazing family coaster. Maybe not quite good as Big Bear, but it's definitely still really good, especially because of that backwards launch. That launch is really good. Blazing Fury is a nice kind of indoor coaster hybrid with a dark ride. It's really bizarre. You have to kind of ride it to know what it's like. It's definitely more dark ride than coaster, but you have a couple drops in there that are pretty fun. Apparently, it's really similar to Fire in the Hole at Silver Dollar City, so I'll see how that thing is. And of course, you got Whistlepunk Chaser, a really, really standard family coaster or kiddie coaster, which you can get the credit for without using a kid. So that was really nice to see. Some other notable rides here. One of them is Dropline. This is their drop tower. It's actually the same model as the Orlando Freefall, which I know might turn some people away, but I don't know. It's perfectly safe. It has seat belts and everything. And yeah, this was a great drop tower, really punchy, great views of the Smoky Mountains. Yeah, definitely recommend it. You also got the iconic train. I did not do this because I didn't feel like wasting 2 hours of my day on a train because it's a long train ride plus the wait and everything. Yeah, I just wasn't up to do it. But my mom did it, and she said there's some pretty good views of all the rides and stuff, and it's a real like steam engine, so that's really nice. You hear it going around the park and everything. You got a log flume, river rapids ride, S&S scream and swing, some more basic flats and water rides and stuff. There's nothing else too crazy besides drop line here that I would absolutely say is a must besides coasters. But yeah, definitely do drop line and check out some of the other stuff if you really want. Now let's go over some of the food here. This might be my favorite amusement park for food. I don't know. It still might be Knoebels, but this place is still amazing. Of course, you got that cinnamon bread. It might not be quite as good as some people make it out to be, but it's still really good. It's doughy. It's everything you'd expect out of an amazing cinnamon bread. I still think Knoebels Tiger Tails are my favorite food item I've ever had, but this thing's close for sure. We also ate at Red's. That was kind of dumb, honestly. It was a step up from Six Flags food, but it definitely wasn't up to par with Aunt Granny's, which is definitely the best theme park restaurant I've ever been in. That thing was incredible. You got like two types of chicken, catfish, which was weirdly amazing, biscuits, apple crumble, mac and cheese, corn pudding, potatoes, like all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah, that dinner was incredible. Probably the best meal I've ever had in an amusement park, maybe period. Like that thing's definitely a must do. The theming and immersion here is actually really good. It's not like what you'd expect. It's not Universal or Disney where they're immersing you in all these themed lands to IPs. Rather, it's just more immersing you in like the country charm almost, I guess. All the areas, I mean, they're different, but I mean, Craftsman Valley basically feels the exact same as Timber Canyon or whatever. The only two that feel somewhat different are the 50s themed area with Lightning Rod and Wildwood Grove, which are both really good for sure. They actually have actors around that kind of just go up and talk to people, which is really nice to see. All the shows were great. I heard like a few people playing. There was actually someone from Rochester playing like in the trio of guitar players or whatever, so that was cool to hear. The whole park looks really clean. I will say apparently there's a lot of snakes. I only saw one like really small snake, but apparently they can be an issue, so I guess watch out for that. They're actually by the chapel apparently, which again, there's a chapel in this place. That's crazy. They got like a schoolhouse. There's a bunch of little details. It's almost like Busch Gardens Williamsburg in a way how it's not like one big area. It's just a bunch of continuous little things that really add up over time, which is really nice to see. The rides themselves, some of them have really good theming. Again, Mystery Mine could have had a bit more, but it's fine. Fire Chaser is the best themed ride here. That has amazing theming, especially like in Charlie's Shed or whatever it is. That's a really good part of the ride. Blazing Fury's got great theming, obviously, because it's mostly a dark ride. And a bunch of the coasters like Tennessee Tornado. I mean, that's more of the facade that's themed, but Lightning Rod has great theming in the queue. Big Bear has great theming in the queue, although I would have liked to see more on ride. But yeah, the theming here and atmosphere is amazing. Now let's go over another negative, which is the hills. This is a very hilly park. I would hate to be a manager here having to walk around all these hills. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't take the job if the money's right, but it would be a pain. Because the bottom section with Lightning Rod is all on flat ground, but say you want to go from Lightning Rod to Tennessee Tornado, that's quite a hike, and it's a steep one too. It's not quite as bad as Dorney Park, but it's still going to be a workout. At least you get to go back down a hill, which is nice. The last negative I want to go over before my plan of attack is it's just so annoying having Lightning Rod in the back of your head the entire time, because basically half the day on Tuesday, Lightning Rod was down, and I mean, I was still having a good time riding Thunderhead and Tennessee Tornado and this stuff, but in the back of my head, I just kept thinking, oh yeah, when's Lightning Rod going to open? Is it going to open? And that's kind of annoying sometimes when the star attraction is down that much. It didn't hinder that much, but it can definitely get annoying. So let's get into the plan of attack here. Start with Big Bear Mountain. Do not run to Lightning Rod, especially if you have the credit already, because that thing needs time to warm up. Everyone's heading to Lightning Rod. Big Bear Mountain, a lot of people are heading there too, but trust me, you don't want to wait more than an hour for that thing. While you're over there, hit Dragon Flyer, and then I'd go to Mystery Mine after that, because that can get a big wait. Hit Fire Chaser, do Wild Eagle, do Tennessee Tornado, head back down the hill, Blazing Fury, do Lightning Rod, assuming it's open, then head back for Thunderhead and Whistlepunk Chaser, because those never really get big lines. Again, if you're really concerned about getting Lightning Rod, do that first, I guess. But again, Big Bear gets bigger lines, and Lightning Rod definitely needs time to warm up. So for Dollywood's final score, I'm going to give it a 972 out of 1,000. This is the top 3 park for me. The only park I've been to that's definitely better than it is Hershey Park. I'm debating about this in Busch Gardens Williamsburg and Cedar Point. I think I have it at number 3 ahead of Busch Gardens Williamsburg and behind Cedar Point. Just because, again, Cedar Point's ride lineup is definitely better. But depending on the day, I could have it at 3, 2, or 4. It's just, it could depend on the day. But overall, it has a few flaws, like Lightning Rod being closed a ton in the hills and stuff. But for the most part, it's an amazing park. It's definitely one you have to get out and do at some point. And yeah, that's my review of Dollywood. Let me know what you guys think of this review down in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.